If your nightmares come alive at 3 a.m., you're in the right place. Welcome to 3 a.m. Tales by Ren. Are you ready to face your deepest fears? Then join us, if you dare.
Gather round, friends, and lend me your ears, for tonight I'll recount a tale that chilled me to the bone, an encounter with the supernatural that defies explanation. It was on a cold autumn evening, much like this one, when I found myself walking through the very place where the veil between our world and the next grows thin. The cemetery on the outskirts of town. The cemetery loomed before me, a jagged silhouette against the inky canvas of the night sky. The old iron gates groaned as I pushed them open, the sound like a mournful sigh. A chill wind whispered through the cypress trees, their branches twisting like skeletal fingers reaching out to me. The air hung heavy with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, a smell that spoke of ages past and things best left undisturbed. The moon, a pale disk peeking through the clouds, cast long dancing shadows across the weathered tombstones. Each stone stood as a silent sentinel, a testament to lives lived and lost. Names now faded and worn, whispered tales of forgotten dreams and loves long gone.
I walked deeper into the labyrinth of graves, each step crunching on the gravel path, the sound unnaturally loud in the stillness. The silence was unnerving. It pressed in on me, broken only by the rustling leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. A sense of foreboding settled over me, a primal instinct screaming that I was trespassing on sacred ground. But still, curiosity, that insatiable hunger for the unknown, pulled me deeper into the heart of the cemetery. I paused by a particularly imposing mausoleum, its marble facade cracked and stained with age. The air around it seemed to crackle with an unseen energy. I felt a shiver run down my spine and a cold, inexplicable dread crept into my heart. I tried to shake it off, telling myself it was just the chill night air, but deep down I knew it was something more.
A faint sound reached my ears, barely audible at first. It was a soft murmuring, like whispers carried on the wind. I strained to listen, my heart pounding in my chest. The whispers grew louder, more distinct, seeming to come from the shadows behind the mausoleum. Cautiously, I crept around the side of the structure, my senses on high alert. The whispers were clearer now, though I still couldn't make out the words.
Then I saw them. Two figures, shrouded in what looked like tattered white cloth, glided silently through the graves. Their movements were jerky, unnatural, as if controlled by an unseen force. They seemed to float just above the ground, their feet never quite touching the earth. As I watched, frozen in place by a mixture of fear and fascination, one of the figures turned its head towards me. Even though its face was obscured by the shadows beneath its hood, I could feel its gaze piercing through me. It was a cold, empty stare, devoid of any warmth or life. The other figure turned as well, and for a moment we stood there, separated by a few feet and a veil of otherworldly terror.
Panic surged through me. My breath caught in my throat and my legs turned to lead. I wanted to run, to scream, to do anything to break free from the paralysis that gripped me, but I couldn't move. It was as if some unseen force held me captive, keeping me rooted to the spot. The figures began to glide towards me, their movements slow and deliberate. The whispers intensified, swirling around me like a vortex of despair. I could feel their icy presence closing in, and with it a sense of overwhelming dread.
My mind raced, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Were these ghosts? Hallucinations? Whatever they were real and they were coming for me. I had stumbled into something dark and dangerous, something that defied all logic and reason. I squeezed my eyes shut, willing myself to wake up from this nightmare. But the whispers only grew louder, the icy fingers of fear tightening their grip on my heart. I was trapped, alone in the darkness with whatever those things were.
Just when I thought the terror would consume me, a new sound cut through the oppressive silence. It was a voice, deep and resonant, calling out from somewhere nearby.
Leave this place, child, it's not safe.
I opened my eyes to see a figure silhouetted against the faint moonlight. It was an old man, his face etched with wrinkles, his eyes filled with a mixture of concern and urgency. He held a lantern in his hand, the flickering flame casting dancing shadows around him. The whispers seemed to recoil at the sight of him, their intensity lessening slightly. The figures paused in their advance, their shrouded forms swaying slightly as if caught in a sudden wind. The old man stepped forward, placing himself between me and the spectral beings.
Go now. This is not a place for the living. You do not belong here.
His words seemed to break whatever spell had held me captive. Strength surged back into my limbs and I stumbled back, my heart pounding against my ribs. I didn't need to be told twice. I turned and ran, my feet barely touching the ground. The old man's words echoed in my ears, urging me onward. I didn't look back, but I could feel the presence of the figures behind me, their icy gazes burning into my back. The whispers followed me, their chilling tones weaving a tapestry of fear that clung to my soul. I didn't stop running until I reached the iron gates of the cemetery. I stumbled through them, gasping for breath, my lungs burning. I leaned against a nearby tree, my entire body trembling with fear and adrenaline. As I caught my breath, I glanced back at the cemetery, but the gates were now closed, and the only sound that reached me was the gentle rustling of the leaves in the night wind. The figures were gone, vanished back into the shadows from whence they came.
I never went back to that cemetery. Not at night, not ever. The memory of that night, of the whispers, the figures, and the old man's warning remained seared into my mind. It was a chilling reminder that there are things in this world, things that defy explanation, things that lurk just beyond the veil of our understanding. Even now, all these years later, I can still feel the icy grip of fear that gripped me that night. The whispers still echo in the recesses of my mind, a haunting reminder of the darkness that lies hidden beneath the surface of our world.
And the old man, who was he? Was he a guardian of sorts, protecting the living from the restless dead? Or was he something else entirely, something perhaps even more unsettling? I never found out, and perhaps it's better that way. Some mysteries are best left unsolved, some doors better left unopened, for what lurks behind them may be best left undisturbed. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more chilling encounters and ghostly tales. But before we part ways, let me leave you with a final thought. As I sit here recounting the events of that fateful night, I can't help but wonder, what if the whispers were not just echoes of the past, but warnings for the future? What if the figures I saw were not merely restless spirits, but harbingers of something far more sinister? The old man's words still linger in my mind, a cryptic message that I may never fully understand. But perhaps in sharing this story, I am passing on a piece of that warning to you. Be wary of the shadows, for they hold more than just darkness. They hold secrets, memories, and perhaps the answers to questions we dare not ask. So, as you close this chapter and move on with your day, remember, some things are best left undisturbed, but others may be worth a closer look. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and never stop exploring the unknown. Thank you, and good night.
What's something people don't know about fear? It creeps in, just like this. When the clock strikes 3 and shadows grow thick, remember, the real horror begins. Good night.